So recently I built a superfish tank, and this was the tank here for my dragon betta that you can see. It's going through a little bit of a diatom phase, but that's normal for any planted aquarium. Looks great, doesn't it? It's a clear cube tank with a great light and a filter that all comes as part of the kit. So Superfish were massively happy with it. And then they said, well, do you want to have a go at one of our other types of tanks? And they sent me this. And initially I was like, it's not really what I do. I just do plain boxes with like sleek lights and stuff. And I thought, you know what? Not everyone wants that. This has got a lid with it. It's the home. This is the Superfish home aquarium. So it comes with all this. It's like a packaged thing and it's all built in together. The light is attached to it all. It's got a lid. It's got an internal filter as well. Now, not everyone wants a completely plain look, and not everyone wants an open top tank like I normally do. So I just said, you know what, let's have a go at it. Let's just give it a go. Now, hopefully if you've seen this video, it turned out good. This is completely out of my comfort zone, really. It's not what I'm used to at all, but it might be something that you guys are interested in. Again, Superfish doing really, really affordable packages. So this all comes as one kit. There's different sizes, so it can like be to whatever budget you've got. Not everyone's got the size for a massive one. Everyone might want smaller ones. So again, they come in different sizes. There's links below to where you can buy them from that's local to you. Unless you're in the States, of course, because it's not in the States, but you know, Europe, UK, yeah, you can get it anywhere. Yeah, for anyone in the UK, made in headstock these. Anyway, let's build it first. That's the most important thing, isn't it? If you're wondering what's happened down the bottom here, we had a little bit of a leak in the garage where I was storing it for a few days. And yeah, and also we've got flat pack furniture. It's only a small one though, so it should be fine. So I hate doing that. I hate flat pack furniture, but that went together super easy and it's absolutely solid. In fact, I could stand on that right now. I'm not gonna, but I could. Right, onto the fun bit, getting the tank out and putting it together. I think I have to put it together. I might not even have to put it together. I don't even know. Oh, that's not a nice noise. Ta-da! Got it. Don't need that, don't need that. Oh, remote control as well. Nice. And a battery. The weirdest battery I've ever seen, but a battery nonetheless. And now we can just place it on top. Oh, I've got too much. Oh, that. Line it up. Looking good. Right, let's get the light hooked up. Oh, are we on? Did something happen then? Oh, we're sort of on. I see, it doesn't come on full instantly. It's ramping up right now. I can actually see it, so it doesn't spook the fish, I guess. Yeah, it's still ramping up. But I think what I want to do actually is put a black background on it. So I'm going to take it off now. I'm going to paint the whole back. You might not need to do that. By the way, look at the size. Really, really good sized tank. You might not want to paint the back or do anything like that or put a background on, because in your room it might be different, but obviously it's quite distracting what's going on behind it at the moment. Actually thinking about it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use like a misted film on the background, because I feel like we can get even more light inside the tank then. The background will also reflect the light if we use a light colour sand as well, and then we can get even better growth for the plants. Looking at the light now, I don't know if it's come off on camera because the camera adjusts. If it's too bright, it will make it darker, etc. But looking at it now, it looks like we're going to get good growth of simple sort of plants, you know, the easy plants. I do want to be able to grow some reds as well, so yeah, I think I'm going to put a misted background on. Right, there we go, that's all on, looking a lot better, I think. Don't worry about that in the middle. That's where some of the water has creeped in underneath. So it's not in the tank, there's no bubbles or anything like that. We're all good, we can start doing some hardscape. Now, as always, in first goes the NutriBase. Now, this stuff is amazing. It's like got beneficial bacteria in it already, it's got nutrients, it's such a good base. And the good thing about it is a little bit goes a long way. So that amount right there, let's go around the side so you can sort of see, banked it up a little bit. That is about, I don't know, a third of a bag. So you get a decent sized tank, and you didn't even need to use the whole bag, to be honest. Now, if you're on a budget, you can just keep it like that and add sand or aquasoil or something on top. But I like to throw a few more things into the mix just to give it enough nutrients. So I'm going to put a little bit of pond compost on as well. This stuff very cheap, but it works really well. Now, if you can afford aquasoil, I would go with aquasoil. If you can't, this is a great alternative. It basically just bumps up those nutrient levels and means that we can get some really good plant growth. Now, don't confuse this with normal compost. This is aquatic compost, so it's had a load of the organics floated off. So we're just left with really good nutrients that aren't going to float into the water column, break up any, actually that's a bit of wood, take that out, but break up any clumps. Right, now we want to cap all of these nutrients, lock them down. And to do that, I'm going to use a lighter sand, like I say, because I want to really use the background, the lightness and the lightness of the sand to just create more light in the box. I've also added this light temporarily because when I lift, obviously, up to do stuff, the whole thing would be unlit. So for the time being, we're just going to use this one to light the scape. But yeah, let's get everything capped off. Now, you want to go for a finer sand when you do this. I've got two different types here just because I've run out of that lighter one at the front, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to see it anyway in a minute. Then I'll just make a little gap at the front here for the other next layer that I want to go on to be seen. So the decorative layer, I want to be seen right up into the foreground. So I'm just dragging this back a bit. And then now for the main decoration. I've gone for this particular sand here. It's more of a coarse sand, to be honest, because I just feel it looks a little bit more natural than the other sands. The other sands look kind of beachy, whereas this looks a lot more like sort of, I don't know, that rivery look. I want a bit more at the back there. Just build that up a little bit. Always build up at the back. It just looks so much better when the scape's got plants and that in. And there we go. If you ask me, that is a really strong starting base for foundation, basically, to build everything else on. So now we can start putting the hardscape in. Down here is a load of rocks that I'm going to start with. All different sizes and shapes we've got to choose from. This is Sirius stone. It works so well with like aquascapes. I've got some dragon stone as well, but I'm going to be using that soon in another setup. And I just want to save as much of that as possible because it's going to be pretty cool. So if we go for the Sirius stone, build something up that's quite rocky, and then maybe put some wood on top as well afterwards. But first things first, get that rock structure in. I'm going to start something sort of central and work outwards like a sort of explosion. Smaller this side and then larger on the other. So I'm going for some kind of sort of explosion point from the middle, leaning outwards that way and that way. Now I've left a space at the back there because that's where I want our main rock to be. I'm going to get something quite large to sit in that area, and possibly another one on the other side as well. I'm not sure yet. We'll see how it looks with a bigger one in. Okay, that looks wicked. I'm liking that so far, but what it's showing me is that we need to build up the back section of substrate much higher. If I have it going in like a triangular sort of composition up to that point and down this way into the foreground, then it means I can put even more rocks even higher in this area. That's what needs it, I think. And to do that, we need height and more nutrients, because as we go up, obviously, in substrate, we need nutrients as well, so that the plants that we do plant in have still got like a food source, or a nutrient source, I guess. Food source, yeah, same thing. So yeah, to build up that back section now with some more gravel, and I'm going to be putting more compost in as well. So I've got here just like a mix of gravel, aquasoil and sand. Just got something that was kicking about, so pile that in, all in that back area, just creating more height. then on top of this in a second I can put on our clean sand, you know, our decorative stuff, so it doesn't look quite as ugly. So yeah, on top of that goes the coarse sand. Look at that, you wouldn't even know. And what that's now given us is more of a platform behind to put something even bigger. Now I'm thinking, it's a hard one actually. I don't like it there. I feel like there should be a gap there, so it needs to come across, but I don't think that piece is right. Yes, this could work much better. Oh yeah, I like that. So that's given us quite a sort of mountainous bowl, if you like. I think that looks quite cool. I'm gonna go with that. I'm going to put in even more substrate in other areas though, just so we've got more to plant into. I think this could become something quite cool, using stem plants in the background areas a bit more, so that give us all our pops and our colour. And then we can use carpeting plants all in the foreground. Let me just swap that light over to the original and just see if the light is going to be high enough for carpeting plants. Yeah, so that's the proper light. I think we've got just enough there to be able to plant the foreground plants. The reason I'm saying that is when I'm looking at the light now and I compare it over here in this aquarium. So on this tank, down here where we've got the glossostigma and some other sort of harder growing plants as well, there's not a lot of light down there at all when you sit back and look at the whole thing. And that's all growing, so I'm confident in the other setup it will as well. You know, there's enough nutrients under all of this. I'd say it's low to medium lighting, which means we can get away with things like Monte Carlo and glossostigma. They grow well for me in those situations, provided you've got the nutrients underneath, and we have. The only thing is though, that isn't enough really substrate to plant a foreground plant into, so I'm going to just top that up a little bit. So we have got some amazing Monte Carlo there. We've also got HC and we've got some glossostigma as well. So those three combined, dotted about the foreground, should fill it in nicely. Not completely, but it will over time, I think. Very, very slowly, albeit, but it's still gonna look good even before it's grown in, if you know what I mean. So that is all of the foreground plants that I want for now. I might add some more in this area later on, but to start with, I just want to get this filled up with water now to put in all the stem plants. I just find it plants much better when there's water in the tank, plus it means that these aren't going to dry out either and I don't have to keep misting them and forgetting about them. So we're filled up, we're looking really good so far. I'm liking that. I can see it turning into something brilliant. What I want to do now is start adding in all my stem plants and other accent plants. I'm going to start in the middle with a big punch of red. I'm going to use Ludwigia palustre Super Red in this middle section, keep it quite low, and that should be a real standout area. And then I can just put other reds and greens and everything all around it. But I want that sort of, it's going to look a bit like a volcano, isn't it? Like a volcano-y bit in the middle. Yeah, I like that. Oh yes, I think that's worked really well. Now behind that, I'm going to go in with some greens. I've got Palustrious Green, which is the same plant. It's just a much greener version of it. Well, a green version of it rather than a red. Yeah, I like that. I think that's looking really good so far. I want to carry on the red-green theme though and bring some more red over in like this corner and just sort of extend that out a bit, and then a big explosion in the top section. I think that should really sort of be the icing on the cake, to be honest. You could keep it like that if you didn't have many plants, and eventually this would all grow up and you could trim it and replant it, but I have got lots more to choose from, so I do want to fill in that section. Right, there we go. That's basically all the plants that I want to add for now. I put some Ludwigia granulose in that corner as well, just to tie in that full red band. So I might add some more detail, I might not. This one is supposed to be more of a sort of contemporary look to go with the contemporary sort of design of the tank and stand. So I didn't want to go too overcomplicated. But that said, maybe a few pieces of boost and that might be of interest. I'm not sure yet, but first thing I need to do now is actually get a filter fitted. So this section here is where the filter will go in, and here is the filter. So you just literally slide it in. My goodness, I've made a mess. Anyway, look, decent filter this. Look, it's got media in it. It's got a spray bar. It's got a control valve. Yeah, you can pull it open like that. And then inside there's your sponge that you can clean. Goes back on. This one goes back on as well. Look at that, perfect. See how it just slots. Looks like it slots down into this section. Correct so far. There we go. Oh, we're in. Now we're in. And the outlet is actually over this little bit there. And then there's this little lid for the top as well. Then it's just a case of putting everything on. Oh, got some good power to it. I'm going to fill it up a little bit more though. It's got a good amount of flow on it there. You can turn it down if you want to, but I mean, why if you don't need to, depending on the fish, of course. But I can actually see the rotation there is really, really good. It's going to pick up any crud from down here as well. So yeah, stick with that for the minute. I'm going to top it up a little bit though, so that will stop it splashing. Right, it has now been a week since I've set the tank up. It's growing in really nicely. I've added a few details. I added this Ludwigia grandulos to the background section there and there, just to give it a little bit more height. I mean, it's quite a tall tank, and I wanted something in that upper area. But everything's running perfectly. I've even got a couple of shrimp in there as well that's helping with a little bit of algae. The snails are keeping on top of things, but we can now go and get some fish for this. Matt's got some cool ideas for me as well. Should we get some fish, Gracie? Yeah. Hello, Matthew, the tank is ready.
Is that how we're starting here today?
Yeah, let's just not mess about. So I messaged you yesterday telling you what I've got, which is the home. Where is your homes?
I don't know if they're out of the box yet. We've just moved the shop around.
Oh.
So let's have a look. So we're going to do a new display of them.
I see.
Everything's moved around.
Yes, everything's different in this area. I like it, I like it, I like it.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
I don't know why I said that 3 times.
I like it, I like it, you like it that much, you like it 3 times. But yeah, so we're having new home displays here.
Oh, cool. Oh, look at how cute it is, a little diddy one.
Yeah, the little dinky one's cool.
Good light level, actually.
Yeah, they do look good in there. And it's quite nice that it's shallow, I quite like that one.
Yeah. So we discussed yesterday.
Yep.
I feel like this is a very, very good sort of starter kit that someone's going to get, aren't they? They're going to come in, I've got everything, they're going to get their gravel, they're going to get their bits and bobs, and they're going to pick fish. Now, when people do that, they tend to do what? A community, don't they?
Yes, they do, yeah.
So we discussed this. Matt calls it pick a mix fishing.
Pick and mix fish, yeah. I don't know if that will make sense in other countries, pick and mix.
Well, they might not have it. Basically, it's when you go to a sweet shop and you have a bit of everything.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what you do when you get your first tank. I did it. Everyone sort of does it. Nothing wrong with it at all, as long as they're sort of compatible.
Your Tetra community and my Tetra community were sort of, it's just on a bigger scale.
Yeah, it's just the 10 of those and, and 10 of those and 10 of those. Okay, so you mentioned some stuff to me yesterday which I can't remember. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, copper harlequins.
Oh, okay.
Because they're nice, bright, orange. A lot of people get attracted to
them.
Where are they? Right in front of you. So second tank in on the middle row.
Yeah, they're good ones as well.
So they get bright orangey, coppery sort of colorations to them, and then that big black sort of triangular wedge.
Yeah.
So they're nice. I think they're cool. Then I was thinking focal point.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So I was thinking, are they in here? Yes. So we have got, they're not as bright, but they're just starting to get the colour. There's a male honey gourami at the back there. So they're that like orangey, they get a blacky sort of blue belly and then a yellow dorsal fin to them.
Awesome, yeah, bang up
Females
for it.
are the silver ones, but I think, a couple of males and 4 females sort of thing in there will work quite well.
I've never had them actually.
Yeah, they're really nice. So you get the yellow ones.
Yes,
you get the
I've had the yellow ones. Yeah. That's what I'm getting
So they're the
with.
wild coloration ones, and when the males colour up, they're just so cool.
I think that looks better.
Yeah, I do. I think they get this really blacky blue sort of chest to them, so really nice.
Okay, so
but I think they'll be a good focal point for that size of aquarium. They're not overly aggressive. Yeah, nice aquarium. And then we're open to suggestions. Do you want to keep on the Rasbora line? Do you want to go down the barb route? Do you want to? What's your thoughts?
So the last time we did, we had 2 different tetras, and they were very contrasty tetras, and it worked really well.
Unless we went more harlequins, but they're different species.
Do they look completely different?
Yeah. So we've got these don't look different, but I'm showing you them just because. So these are the standard harlequin. Now they get a little bit bigger, and that triangular wedge is a bigger triangular wedge. But up on the top row, we have gold and purple harlequins.
No, they're too similar.
Too similar?
Too similar
you want different?
Too similar for me. I thought you were going to go there.
Okay.
What about over on the nanos? We used to have the ones in the Rasbora that had the bands that weren't galaxies but similar.
Yeah, cross-banded Rasboras or Emerald Dwarf Rasbora.
Oh yes, that's the ones. That's the ones.
In here, I believe.
I love those. I think they're
Just
great.
in the back. There was a couple of males showing off to each other this morning.
Okay, but what about the fish?
Hilarious.
I can't focus on them. Stay still.
No, they don't.
There we
They're
go.
horrible because they're so small and darty. They are really hard to focus on.
Oh, well, I don't want them then.
No.
I'm joking. They'll be fine in my tank.
But they would be cool. They would work well. You got things like Daisy's rice fish next door, which go blue and red. Like, I think you've had Axelrod's Rasboras before.
I have. I think this section here is like everyone's friend if you've got a new tank, because everything's so small that you're not going to overload the system.
The water levels are tiny, as long as you don't overfeed them. When you think of how small their not stomach, but their bellies are going to be, yeah, it's tiny. So as long as you don't overfeed them, it's perfect because they just put so little bioload onto it.
And we've got galaxies as well.
You've got galaxies in there. We've got
Celestial Pearl.
Yeah, sorry,
Danio.
Celestial Pearl Danios, if you want to be precise. You know, you've got, I don't know. There's so many different things. You've had Vietnamese cardinal minnows, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's tricky. Focata rainbows, you've had them, I think.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be stuff I've just had, to be honest. No, I think definitely want some of the Emerald Dwarf
Group of
Rasboras,
them.
yeah.
Group of the Harlequins.
Yeah.
Group of the honey gouramis.
To be honest, I wouldn't mind a few Axelrod Rasboras. I do like them.
They would look good.
I think they would work because they've got a little bit of blue in them.
Yeah.
And then we've got all fish that got a little bit of different colour.
Yeah, you've got dark navy blue and gold. You've got the neon blue, as it were.
Yeah.
Then you'll have orange.
Yeah.
And then you'll have like the wild orange, black and silvery of the honey gouramis.
Loving it. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Do clean up crew, a couple of Ottos, just a couple.
Yep.
I've already got some Manos in there, so we're all good for that. Yeah, bag them up. Right, we're back from the fish shop. I've got all the fish in here, so they're the same temperature as the water because I heat the room. That's another reason you haven't seen a heater in this tank, because if you're getting tropical fish, you will more than likely need a heater depending on where you're from. But I've heated the room so the water's the same temperature as the room, which is the right temperature, which means we can put these guys straight in. Right, in first, we've got 3 Otto sinkless. Now these guys are really going to help with sort of cleaning algae off the rocks, off of any of the leaves we've got there as well. Oh, I've dripped water already on a nice display. Yeah, they're probably not going to do much now, but they will do that over time. Stick. Now we've got the Emerald Rasboras. They're so nice looking. There we go. Some of my favourites actually they are. You know, when it comes to nano fish for sure. And then a nice school of Harlequins. Matt put a few extra of those in, so they're the main schooling fish. I mean, they've gone everywhere at the moment, but they will sort of stay in this upper area, you tend to find. And then our feature fish, the natural coloured honey gouramis. We've got some females and males there. Oh, awesome. Right, there's stuff everywhere in the tank. It's a really, really good community there because there's, you know, all areas of the tank are going to be taken up. So a few hours later and the fish had coloured up brilliantly, looking so good and settled in really fast. Now I think it's really worth pointing out that I've been ghost feeding this tank for the last week. Now what that means is I've been putting food in, but there's nothing really to eat it. There's a few shrimp, but that's it. What that does is it builds up ammonia in the system, which allows beneficial bacteria to grow, populate the tank. So that then when you actually put fish in, there's enough there to compensate for the waste that they're producing. It's a really good way of starting a tank actually. Alternatively, you can just use beneficial bacteria, which I will add as well. I always do, just as a safety net. Now, given the fact that the light isn't massively powerful on this, it's just enough, I'd say, to grow all these plants, as you can see. I don't think we need any floating plants in this tank. Plus, there's quite a lot of flow at the top. It's just going to push them around. No, this is more like a really nice looking display. I've deliberately gone for this easy scape so that you guys can simulate it with a basic substrate system as well. Also, I've gone for really, really easy to keep fish that go well together. And I think this is the sort of setup you could have in your home and be really proud of it. People come in, they'd be drawn to it, wouldn't they? They definitely would with those colour pops. The fish just look great in there as well against that. It's not a very natural style. No, there isn't, but not everyone is into that, are they? Also, one of the benefits of this tank that some people are really, really keen to have is that there's a lid for it. It sits nice and flush, it looks good as well, and it also stops evaporation, which some people can find really annoying. But no, a nice simple one. Hope you've enjoyed this and it's given you some ideas and possibly something you can go out and purchase and put in your home as well. Now remember, just keep it simple with a setup like this and you can't really go wrong.